Does Mrs. Smith live here?
But you still haven't told me how you knew I was here.
Our old governess heard about you.
Did she indeed? Well, I can still hardly believe it. Was it 15 years ago we were at school together?
Oh, I'm afraid it was. She told me about your husband. I am sorry.
Yes, that was 2 years ago. I have no difficulty in remembering that.
Are you quite alone here?
Oh, yes.
But have you no relations left at all?
I only wish I had. My poor husband's affairs are far too complicated for me in my present state. I can't even get to the bedroom by myself, you know, since I had rheumatic fever.
Oh, I am sorry. You seem to be managing wonderfully.
Well, I have a great deal to be thankful for, you know. Mrs. Rook, that's the woman who let you in. She's been a great comfort. And now you're here. I'm really very fortunate.
I admire your courage.
Well, I have more than I used to. I was a pitiable creature when I arrived, I'm afraid. I caught a cold on the journey and had to go straight to bed. And I knew no one at all then. But at least I was in good hands.
I wish you'd let me know.
Oh, no, certainly not.
I wish you had.
No. I'm not glad I've been ill, of course. But I don't altogether regret it. It's taught me a great deal.
Oh, I can't think of what.
Well, I've seen enough of the world not to expect very much of it. But my landlady's been extremely kind, and Mrs. Rook is simply excellent.
How did you find her?
She's my landlady's sister. She's been absolutely invaluable. Though I'm afraid she does like to gossip and know everyone else's business. Of course, I can hardly prevent her knowing all mine.
No. Oh. You must find it very constricting not being able to go out at all.
Well, I've lived in the world, Anne, in my time. I don't find I miss it.
Perhaps there's not so much to miss.
Well, if I'd had a child... But I didn't, and there's no point in complaining.
And Mrs. Rook tells you all you want to know.
Exactly. It's gossip, if you like, but she always has something entertaining for me. And often something profitable, too. Something to make me know my own species better.
Well, that's the best justification for gossip there is.
Oh, I like to know what's going on. To be au fait with the latest ways of being trifling and silly. Though I'm afraid it'll only be the trifling and silly she'll find for me in her new post.
Oh? Where's she going?
To a Mrs. Wallace in Marlborough Buildings.
Colonel Wallace's wife?
Yes, do you know her?
No, but the Colonel is a great friend of my cousin, Mr. Elliot.
Yes, I believe he is.
Everyone says she's charming.
Oh, that's not what I've heard. My sources say she's only a pretty, silly, expensive, fashionable woman. That all I'm likely to hear about is lace and finery.
Oh. Well, let us hope your sources are wrong.
I'm afraid they're not likely to be. But I mean to profit by her. She has plenty of money. And I plan for her to buy all these high-priced things I'm making.
What are they?
Oh, little thread cases and pin cushions and card racks. Nothing really. But they earn me just a little. And so I can help one or two of the very poor families in the neighbourhood. Mrs. Rook sells my merchandise for me, you see.
Well, that is exceptional nursing.
Well, it's being a nurse that makes her so good at it. She knows when and where to go. People are always generous when they've just recovered from some illness.
She sounds very shrewd.
Oh, she is. And there's so little real friendship in the world. So few people think seriously until it's almost too late. Well, perhaps I've spent too much time with people who make me think worse of the world than I should.
Life hasn't been kind to you.
Oh, but people have been. You are. Oh, I'm so glad to see you again, Anne. Oh.
What, Anne, reading? What's the use of that? You'll only spoil your eyes. You should come with us. Your cousins are Dalrymple.
Yes, they asked after you.
Oh, how kind. How are they?
Not very well.
Lady Dalrymple has a cold.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But they've asked us to go there again this evening. We've accepted, of course.
Oh, I'm afraid that I can't go.
What? Why not?
I've arranged to spend this evening with an old school friend.
What old school friend? Where does she live?
In Westgate Buildings.
Westgate Buildings? And whom is Miss Anne Elliot to be visiting at Westgate Buildings?
Well, she was a Miss Hamilton. Now she's Mrs. Smith. She's a widow.
A widow, Mrs. Smith. And who was her husband?
Well, Mr. Smith.
Ha! One of the 5,000 Mr. Smiths whose name one sees everywhere, I suppose. And what is so attractive about this widow, Mrs. Smith?
She's a very old friend, and she's not at all well.
Oh, so her attraction is that she's old and sickly, is it?
Really, Anne?
Upon my word, Miss Anne Elliot, you have the most extraordinary taste. Everything that revolts other people. Low company, paltry rooms, foul air, disgusting associations you seem to find inviting.
Father, I have made the engagement.
Well, surely you could put this old lady off until tomorrow. She's not so near her end, I presume, that she can't hope to see another day. How old is she? 40?
No, she is not yet 31. And I cannot put her off because this evening is the only one that suits us both.
Oh, she's so very busy then, in spite of her illness.
She is going to the warm bath tomorrow. And as you know, we're engaged for the rest of the week.
What does Lady Russell think of this acquaintance, I wonder?
She sees nothing wrong in it. Indeed, she approves. In fact, it is she who has generally taken me there.
Indeed. Well, you've certainly kept this friend of yours secret. Perhaps we should be grateful.
Westgate Buildings must have been rather surprised to see a carriage drawn up to its pavement. Sir Henry Russell's widow, of course, has no honours to distinguish her arms. Still, it's a handsome equipage.
Oh, well, Father.
Well, it's well known to convey a Miss Elliot in any case.
I don't expect so, Father.
Of course it is, Anne.
A widow, Mrs. Smith, lodging at Westgate Buildings. A poor widow barely able to live between 30 and 40. A mere Mrs. Smith, an everyday Mrs. Smith. Of all people and all names in the world to be the chosen friend of Miss Anne Elliot.
Yes, Father, that is what she is.
Preferred by her to her own family connections amongst the nobility of England and Ireland. Mrs. Smith, what a name!
Mientras que Isabel y Sir Walter se entregaban en la asidua labor de conquistar su valimiento en Laura Place, domicilio de la vizcondesa viuda de Dalrymple, yo renovaba una amistad de calidad bien distinta. En la visita que me hizo cierto día mi antigua aya, tuve noticias de que se hallaba en Bath una compañera de colegio, que era doblemente acreedora de mis atenciones por las pruebas de cariño que de ella había recibido y por las amarguras que entonces pasaba.
Creo que deberías decírselo a tu padre.
No es el momento. Al menos todavía no.
¿Por qué? No lo entiendo. ¿Por qué ha de oponerse a que visites a una antigua compañera de colegio?
¿Conoces Westgate? ¿Dónde vive Mary?
¿Mary?
Mary Hamilton, la señora Smith.
Oh, sí, un lugar horrible.
Nadie habita un lugar así por gusto. Desde que quedó viuda, sus asuntos han ido empeorando más y más.
Y me dijiste que su salud también...
Sí. Llegó a estar casi inválida. Por fortuna ahora va mejor.
Pobre y enferma. Parece demasiada desgracia.
Mary Hamilton es muy desgraciada. Sin embargo, resiste su infortunio con alegría.
Todo eso me parece muy bien. Pero creo que deberías abandonar esas visitas clandestinas.
No hago nada malo.
Pues díselo a tu padre.
Sé lo que él dirá cuando se entere. Me disgusta contrariar a mi padre, pero me siento obligada a Mary Smith. Cuando llegué al colegio, con la impresión hondamente dolorosa de haber perdido a mi adorada madre, y con una intensa tristeza por haber abandonado mi hogar, sufriendo, como sufre una niña de 14 años, sensible y débil de espíritu, Mary me consoló con una entrañable ternura. Solo ella me ayudó a conllevar mi tristeza. Fue mi mejor amiga, una amiga sincera y desinteresada. Ahora es ella quien me necesita. Y yo no puedo
Comprendo tus sentimientos. Pero no siempre podemos hacer lo que creemos justo. Tu deber como hija del baronet...
¿Mi deber? ¿Cuál es mi deber?
No sé qué decirte, Ana. Haz lo que creas más razonable.
Westgate. ¿Y a quién debe visitar una Elliot en semejante lugar?
Te lo he explicado. A mi amiga, la señora Smith.
¿Smith? ¿Qué apellido es ese?
El del que fue su marido. Es viuda.
Ya me lo has dicho. Viuda de Smith. Uno de esos 50.000 Smith que se encuentra uno en todas partes. Lo que no entiendo, Ana, es cuál es el atractivo de semejante persona.
Es mi amiga. Nos conocemos desde el tiempo del colegio.
A fe mía que la señorita Elliot tiene gustos muy raros. Esa amiga tuya posee todo lo que repugna a cualquiera. Baja condición, vivienda mezquina, mala salud. Lo que no entiendo es cómo has podido encontrarla otra vez.
No la he encontrado. La he buscado. Mía ya me dijo que vivía en Bath.
En fin, no voy a obligarte a hacer lo que debes hacer. Pero supongo que esa amiga tuya no estará tan en las últimas como para no poder esperar un día más tu visita. ¿Qué edad tiene? ¿50?
No ha cumplido aún los 31.
Ay, no cabe tanta desdicha en tan corto tiempo.
En cuanto a mi visita, me temo que será imposible aplazarla. Es la única tarde de que ella y yo disponemos hasta dentro de algún tiempo. Mañana empieza sus baños. Y ya sabes que yo tengo comprometida toda la semana próxima.
Me parece una torpeza que pierdas esta ocasión.
Así lo creo yo.
Me refiero de visitar a la vizcondesa. No sé cuándo volverán a invitarnos. ¿Y qué piensa la señora Russell de semejante amistad?
No ve en ello nada malo. Al contrario, la prueba. Y está dispuesta a ir a recogerme cuando vaya a visitar a Mary, a la señora Smith.
Por fuerza se maravillará Westgate cuando vea rodar por su suelo un coche. La señora Russell no posee escudos de armas, pero sí arrastra un suntuoso carruaje en el que, como todo el mundo sabe, viaja frecuentemente una Elliot.
Papá.
¿Qué, hija?
Ana iba a decir que...
Nada. Iba a decir que eso no tiene importancia.
No sé qué es lo que tiene importancia para ti. Una viuda Smith que vive en un lugar horrible. Una pobre enferma. Es la elegida por la señorita Elliot como amiga íntima. Y lo que es peor, preferida a una relación familiar perteneciente a la más alta nobleza de Inglaterra e Irlanda.
No he dicho que renuncie a esa relación. Las visitaré otro día.
¿Cuándo? ¿Piensas que en casa de la vizcondesa se entra cualquier día? Esta era la mejor ocasión de presentarte. Me ha cabido la suerte de ser comisionado para convocar a los demás. Allí estará toda la familia, nuestras amistades, incluso William y la señora Russell. Tú serás la única que falte.
Lo sé. Pero estoy decidida a visitar a Mary Hamilton. Se merece este sacrificio.
No entiendo por qué. Su único mérito consiste en ser desdichada.
Ya es bastante. No es posible concebir una situación más infortunada que la suya. Amaba extraordinariamente a su marido. Y lo ha perdido. Acostumbrada al trato de personas de calidad, se encuentra ahora completamente sola. No tiene hijos que la congracien con la vida y le ayuden a forjarse la esperanza de nuevas dichas. Ni parientes, ni amigos que le ayuden en el arreglo de sus inciertos negocios.
Fue la señora Robb quien me enseñó este tipo de labores. Me ha ayudado tanto. Siempre, Ana, en cualquier situación, por desesperada que sea, encontramos quien nos ayude.
Eso suena a resignación. ¿Y tú no puedes estar contenta con tu situación presente?
No puedo estar contenta, pero tampoco quiero estar triste, compadecerme a mí misma.
No he dicho eso.
Lo sé. Al principio me pasaba el tiempo en lágrimas. Luego, por fortuna, apareció la señora Rock de quien te hablo, enfermera y amiga de la dueña de esta casa. Para mí ha sido una ayuda inapreciable. No solo me cura y me hace compañía, sino que me enseña estas labores que ella misma vende entre la gente acomodada. Si vieras la cantidad de chismes que me trae de la gente acomodada. Perdona. Olvidé que tú...
Esa buena sociedad no me merece más respeto que a ti misma.
Es muy observadora y entretenida en sus relatos.
Lo entiendo muy bien. Las mujeres como ella tienen ocasión frecuente de observar la vida. Y no solamente las rarezas y manías, sino que a veces son testigos de situaciones conmovedoras, casi heroicas.
Sí, es posible. Pero desgraciadamente las enseñanzas de sus narraciones no son siempre tan edificantes como tú las pintas. No es tanto la fortaleza como la flaqueza lo que se contempla en la cama de un enfermo. Más se oye hablar de impaciencia y de egoísmo que de generosidad y elevación moral. Pero no quiero adoptar un tono de rencor. Me alegro de que hayas venido a verme. Llevaba varios días sola. Mi hada enfermera está atendiendo ahora a cierta señora de Wallis.
He oído hablar de ella en casa.
Es una guapa tontuela y esclava de la moda. ¿Por qué te sonríes?
Porque lo que he oído difiere mucho de eso.
¿Es amiga vuestra?
No. Su marido, señor Wallis, es amigo de mi primo William.
William. ¿Elio?
¿Le conoces?
No. Solo he oído su nombre.
Westgate Buildings? And who is this invalid you visit in Westgate Buildings?
A Mrs. Smith.
A Mrs. Smith.
A widow.
A widow, Mrs. Smith. And what is her attraction? That she's old and sickly. Upon my word, Miss Anne Elliot, you have the most extraordinary taste. Everything that revolts other people is inviting to you.
She is a former schoolfellow of mine, Father, and I'm engaged to spend this afternoon with her.
Lady Dalrymple's invitation is most pressing. Could you not put off this old person till tomorrow?
It is the only afternoon for some time which would at once suit her and myself.
So you would snub Lady Dalrymple for Mrs. Smith lodging in Westgate Buildings? You would prefer an everyday Mrs. Smith to your own family connections among the nobility of England and Ireland. Mrs. Smith, such a name. Once and for all, will you or will you not accompany us to a tea party at our cousins the Dalrymples?
No, sir, I will not. I have a prior engagement with Mrs. Smith, who is not the only widow in Bath with little to live on and no surname of dignity. Do you not suffer from melancholy?
How could I be melancholy when you are come to visit?
Can you walk at all?
No, but I will not allow sickness to ruin my spirits.
Did your husband leave you any money?
Very little. His affairs had utterly collapsed. And it is all spent on Nurse Rook, who, besides carrying me into the hot bath, brings me my one source of consolation. Delicious gossip from the world outside.
So you are a spy, Nurse Rook?
I keep my ears open, that's all.
What have you heard of my friend here?
Well, I know her cousin Mr. Elliot thinks terribly highly of her. How on earth do you know that? I attend on Colonel Wallis's wife, who's indisposed with the baby. And she says that Colonel Wallis says that Mr. Elliot says enough.
You see, Anne, there are no secrets in Bath.
Anne,
Come, Anne, we must not be late. You cannot have forgotten we have an invitation from Lady Dalrymple.
I regret I am already engaged to spend the evening with an old school friend.
Not that sickly old widow in Westgate Buildings.
Mrs. Smith? Yes.
Smith? Westgate Buildings?
Excuse me.
And who, pray, is Mrs. Smith? One of the 5,000 Smiths that are everywhere to be met with? Upon my word, Miss Anna Elliot, you have the most extraordinary taste. To place such a person ahead of your own family connections among the nobility of England and Ireland. Mrs. Smith.
Perhaps she's not the only poor widow in Bath, with little to live on and no surname of dignity. Good evening.
Harriet. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Much better. This is my nurse, Mrs. Rook.
How do you do, Miss Elliot?
Mrs. Rook, I'm truly sorry I've been unable to visit before this. My time has not been my own.
Oh, but we are deeply honoured to have a cousin of Lady Dalrymple pay us a visit here this evening, instead of calling upon her relations with the rest of her family.
Oh.
You will soon learn that absolutely nothing happens in Bath without Nurse Rook hearing of it. Come, dearest Anne, tell me everything that has happened to you in the past 12 years.